All right, good evening and welcome to the Chopping It Up show. I'm your host, Joe Beer. Happy to be of service for you today. Today is now we're a little bit behind what we usually come on, but today is now September 7th, 2025, 5:52 on the West Coast and 8:52 on the East Coast. We appreciate all those who are watching us live or watching in podcast form through one of our various platforms. We always appreciate the support. So we always have great guests, and so this one's actually pretty cool because for all of you guys that know or understand the LA or Southern California geography, I stay in Redlands, and Redlands is it's a quiet town, but you don't see too many HBCU graduates out here. I swear I thought I was the only one, and we'll get into it as we have in our discussion. But I met someone that was an alum of an HBCU from down Highway 55 from me, where I grew up in St. Louis. And so I said, I was like, man, you got to be on the show. And really interested and really excited to talk to him today. But we're gonna be chopping it up today with Chris Coleman. How you doing in this podcast, man?
Man, I'm doing outstanding. I'm doing great. I am glad to be here.
I thanks, man, and what we appreciate you being on the show. I'm really excited to talk to you. But like I said, Redlands, we're about 60 miles from downtown LA. And of course, in LA, you probably gonna see a good bit of folks that went to HBCUs or just more black folks in general. But I met Chris. Our sons were in the basketball league at the YMCA here. And you know how the parents, you end up going to, it was the award ceremony and the
Yep.
parents sit around and get to know the other parents and start conversing. And lo and behold, I met this dude. He said he graduated from an HBCU. So we'll get into it. But yeah, man, I thought it was really cool. Like I said, I've been out here. It'll be 20 years in January, and man, I don't know, man. It was really cool to meet you, and you here in town too. So I'll be
Yeah.
excited to talk to you, man. Looking forward to hanging out with you and everything. So let's get right into it. Chris, where you from?
So I'm originally from East St. Louis. I was born in East St. Louis. I actually grew up exactly, right? I was on the other side of the river,
Right.
on the other side of the bridge. That's where I was born. But I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. I think I moved to Memphis when I was maybe like 3 or 4 years old, right before kindergarten. So I grew up in North Memphis. I went to Valentine Elementary, Cypress Middle School, and then I ended up going to Overton High School for the performing arts.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. Oh, wow. See, that's something else I didn't know. So you went to a performing arts high school. Now your folks are
Yeah.
your folks from East St. Louis, like Memphis, Tennessee. Like, where are your folks from?
So my dad, he's actually from Memphis, Tennessee, but my mom is from a small town outside of Columbus, Ohio called Urban Crest, Ohio.
Wow.
And my parents actually met in East St. Louis. So my dad, for many years, would lived in Chicago, and so they met in East St. Louis.
Wow, that's crazy, man. So yeah,
Hmm.
so for all y'all that don't know, East St. Louis, because I know a lot of people say it to me, they'll be like, so and so, yeah, they from Saint, they say for East St. Louis. It's like so the Mississippi River cuts through Missouri and Illinois, and you got St. Louis on the
Hmm.
Missouri side, and then on the Illinois side is East St. Louis. And so
That's correct. And for those who are in Memphis, if anybody's watching, and it's the same thing. So, like, if you're from West Memphis, you're in West Memphis,
right,
Arkansas.
right.
And so Memphis is in Tennessee, but you have a West Memphis, Arkansas. It's the same thing with East St. Louis and St.
Right,
Louis.
right, right. And the funny thing is that what's crazy is when people think of East St. Louis. I don't know if you've seen it, because man, because you and I, we starting to kind of get up there in age a little bit. Um,
Oh
you
yeah. Oh yeah.
remember it was a movie called Trespass, and I think Ice Cube was in it. I think Ice Cube and somebody else was in it, but it took place in East St. Louis.
Really? Okay. I had no idea.
Oh, what? Oh,
I
dude, you
gotta watch
gotta
it.
Google that. As yeah, yeah, you gotta check it out, man. But like Ice Cube, I it was like one of those black movies that people talked about for a while. And for a while, when people said, like, I told them I'm from St. Louis, they were like, "Oh man, I saw Trespass," and I was like, "That's East St. Louis." Like, but you got to check it out, man. It was a couple other rappers up in there too, but it was pretty like popular at the time.
Okay. See,
Uh,
I being from Memphis, I remember the movie Hustle and Flow. That's the movie I remember
okay,
from
right,
Memphis.
right, 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 right. Um, actually, I got stars, and I actually saw Hustle and Flow the other day. It was like last week. I saw Hustle and Flow.
Really?
But you got to check out
A
Trespass.
small world.
Yeah, yeah, you got to check out Trespass. Yeah,
I,
yeah, it is. All right, so
I sure will.
um, you grew up there in Memphis, and you said you went to a performing arts high school. So how did you end up at a performing arts high school?
Man, that's a great question. So my parents, I know we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. My dad has always been into music. He loved classical music. He loved jazz. And growing up, I would always hear classical music in the car, opera, just very cultured music. And growing up in Memphis, people who look like me typically aren't into that. And so I was always embarrassed.
Right.
But I've listened to my dad sing. He was a tenor. He also played French horn, but he loved music. And I would always hear him sing in church. And I would always hear like some of his old recordings, wonderful voice. And when it was time to go to high school, I was slotted from my zone. I was slotted to go to Northside High School, which was in a rough area in North Memphis. And I didn't want to go there. My parents didn't want me to go there. And so I ended up auditioning for the school. They had a creative and performing arts program. And I had never sang in front of nobody. I had never done any of this. And I just sang a Negro spiritual, Let Us Break Bread Together on Our Knees as an audition piece. And I sang another piece. And I just sang just like my dad. I just sang like listening to all of the music I heard in the past in the car. I just mimicked what I heard. And something beautiful came out. And so they hurried up and said, "Hey, we want this guy to come to our school." And the rest is history.
Wow. Okay, so you a singer then?
Yeah, I'm a singer.
Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, so yeah, it looks like we do have a little bit of a lag, but it's all good. I think we should be straight. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're singing. Um, your father is in music, so that kind of opens the
Hmm.
door where I always go with the guests. I always ask, "Do you remember your first HBCU experience?" And a lot of times, folks say it's the band. You know what I'm saying? Do you remember your first
Yep.
HBCU experience?
It was the band. So me, I just my earliest memory. My earliest memory, my dad wanted the family, me and my little sister, my mom, to go to Southern Heritage Classic in Memphis, Tennessee, at the Liberty
Yeah.
Bowl. I forgot what year, but I was really young, and I remember going. It was like my first like outing that I can remember. And the only thing that I could remember, I don't know who they played Jackson State, but I don't remember the score. I just remember the band. The band sounded so great. And my dad would always tell me how he was in the marching band at TSU when he played. I forget what he played French horn, but I forget what he played in the marching band. But
Mhm.
Yeah, the marching band was the thing that I remember. The sophisticated ladies, I remember them dancing up and down the aisle. When I was, just seeing them dance and just the coordination that they had. And I remember the Q Dogs. My dad was a Q, part of Omega Psi Phi, and he used to tell me all the time about singing a Sweetheart song for the Roadside chapter at State University. And I remember just that experience and how much energy there was, and how the band would get everybody hyped, and it was just mesmerizing to me as a kid. And uh, I had it in my heart that I wanted to go to a HBCU. I wanted to follow my dad's footsteps to go to school where he went. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, that Memphis too. I know that we went to Jackson because my dad was from Jackson, so I know we went to Jackson a lot. Um, but I definitely remember Memphis because it's right down 55 from St. Louis.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
uh, we went and saw Jackson State, Tennessee State, probably every year since I was like in the probably fifth or sixth grade. We went every year. Um, and if
Yep.
and if Jackson State was in Chicago, we'd go there. And then they also have the Circle City Classic there at Indianapolis, and
Yep.
that was only like 4 hours away from St. Louis. But every year we could bet that we were gonna go to Jackson. And my dad was an Alpha, so
Okay.
all of that energy and all that stuff like that you describing. We saw all of that, and so I knew that I wanted to go to an HBCU as well. I knew I didn't want to go to Jackson State because I wanted to make like my own name, but I ended up going there. I
Hmm.
actually went to Johnson C. Smith first, and then
Okay.
I transferred to Jackson State for band reasons mostly, and so
Yeah.
had a good had a good year at Jackson State, but exactly just like you, that Southern Heritage Classic, that was crazy every year. You know what I'm saying? Um, okay,
Yep.
all right. So now you're at the high school, you're singing. What was your college selection process like? So
Hmm.
both of us, we in the same boat. We getting the experience. We probably know that we want to go to a HBCU. What was your selection process like? Did you
Hmm.
know what you want to major in? Like, how was that entire experience? And then what school did you end up picking?
Yeah, so I really didn't focus on college. At the time, I just really wasn't motivated. But my senior year, I had to pick something,
Right.
and a lot of my um, friends in high school, my senior year, were either going to Middle Tennessee State University, which is right outside of Nashville, and Murfreesboro,
Yeah.
Tennessee. Um, you had some people went to the University of Memphis, went to their music program in Memphis, and for me, it was either Berkeley School of Music
Wow.
or Tennessee State University. Yeah, I was that good, and the only reason why I did not go to Berkeley School of Music is because they didn't have dorms at the time,
Yeah.
and so I would have had to find out how to pay for housing, and it was just a lot more complicated. And I think just being that young and just not knowing my dad, so my parents were like 20 years apart, so my dad was a lot older than my mom,
Hmm.
and they were older. And so trying to figure out the school thing, trying to figure out all the various nuances, they quite wasn't sure about how it all worked. But Tennessee State, we went down to Tennessee State, did the application. I got in. It was a lot. It was simple. It was really simple
Right.
for that. And so I ended up going with Tennessee State University because the room and board was there. It was still close to home. I didn't have to worry about a lot of other things going far away from home to Berkeley School of Music. So I ended up going to Tennessee State University.
Okay. So what's really cool about that is I was in the same boat as you. I wanted to.
Hmm.
So let me ask you: did you know that you wanted? What did you know, or what did you want to major in?
Yeah, so all I knew was music because going to Overton High School, being a part of the performing arts program, my whole life was music. It was like I was a music major in high school. I took
Right,
AP music theory. I was in so many different music programs. I was in concert choir, show choir, the chamber choir, jazz choir, men's choir. I was part of the Tennessee State. The all Tennessee State choirs. So every year, just like the band and concert bands, you would audition to be a part of the state honors choir. And so I will always make it first, second chair every year. So all I knew was music. And so I knew I was going to major in music. I never thought about majoring in any. And so, I never knew what I was going to do with the degree afterwards. I just knew I was good at music. I had a wonderful
right.
voice, made good grades in all of my music studies in high school. So I knew I was going to major in music.
Okay, okay. So what I was about to say was, we're in the same boat now. You know, my dad was in the band, so I wanted to major in music, but I didn't understand like the theory and all of that stuff like behind like you actually being a music major, how theory was involved and chord progression. All like I was just all about the band. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Um, but what I wanted to do, I wanted to be a music producer. Like I wanted to be like Quincy Jones or like Barry Gordy or something like
Hmm.
that. And so you remember at that
Yeah.
time, back in the 90s, the internet just came out. So I did my research and I found out
Hmm.
about Berkeley School of Music. And I think I sent out some information or requested some information, and I filled out like a questionnaire or something like that. And they sent me like a packet, an interest packet, and it was a letter, and the letter was like Joseph Beard produces some performance, blah blah blah. Um, and it's funny because like nowadays it would be like AI generated type of thing, but someone had
Yeah.
created that like I was a music producer and I had put on this concert, and all of that. So that
Hmm.
was like something that I wanted to do. I wanted to consider going to Berkeley School of Music. But I didn't really understand until I got to, into college and as a music major, the whole theory side of it, like what you were describing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I had wanted to go to Berkeley School of Music myself. Um, but yeah, I
Hmm.
just I just didn't know about the music, so I ended up changing my major and all of that. But it's a trip that you said Berkeley School
Okay.
of Music, man. I remember that. I mean I remember that. I think I
Yeah.
probably still got that letter around here somewhere.
Yeah. See, not many people know that music theory is very difficult. Part of being,
Yeah.
when I was in high school, we had some great like we had PhDs at my high school, like for choir directors, piano teachers.
Wow.
They were PhDs in music. So these were very accomplished musicians in their craft, whether it was violin, orchestra, band, whatever the case might be. And so they really got on us about music theory. We had these books, it was called the Melodia, and it was literally just scores of music where it was, at the beginning was very easy, and as you got towards the back, it was 4 and 8 part harmony. And we would literally come to class for choir, and he'll just say, "Hey, open the page 87, and what key is it in? What's the time signature? Play the first, not the chord, but just the whatever key is in, and you had to figure out your key based on your part." Internally, he'll count it off, and we just sight singing from the get go, and that's something we
Wow.
did every day, and that really got you really strong in reading music, sight singing, sight reading, and understanding how the music flow between chord progressions as well as the melody. And so yeah, it was really good. And so taking AP music theory in high school really got me prepared. And so when I got to college, music theory 1, 2 were really easy for me.
Right. 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 Yeah. See, all the stuff you talking, I got exposed to my freshman year. Because my high
Yep.
school, it wasn't music like that. Like, you were in the band
Hmm.
and that was it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like what
Yeah.
you were describing. Um, but
Hmm.
that was huge. That was like a wake up call for me. I mean, I think I remember our final in music theory at Jackson State. We had to play a jazz piece on the piano. I don't know how to play the
Yeah.
piano. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? I think I had like intro to
Yeah.
piano like that semester, and then he wanted me to play that, and I was like, "Come on, man!" So, man, I didn't even make it to the midterms as a music major.
Yeah. It's tough. My dad told me growing up, he said he would always tell me one of the most difficult majors in college is music. And I never understood
Yes,
until I got there. It's because one, you have to know something before you go in. Like any other major, you can learn as you go, whether it's engineering,
right,
physics, whatever, you can learn it as you go. But it's something about music theory. You have to like if you don't know music theory going to college, you're already behind.
right. Yeah, yeah. I definitely learned that. I learned that the hard way, man, and it was a trip because I mean I was so much into the boom, like I was so much into the marching band aspect of it. I
Hmm.
understood like you played concert band in the spring, but I was so much about the marching band. Me thinking about being a music major, that was like another world. So um, that's really interesting. Again, something else I didn't know about you. You actually went to a performing arts
Hmm.
high school, and you had that music training before you went to school. So you decided to go to
Yeah.
Tennessee State. What year did you finish high
Yeah.
school?
Go Big Blue. I graduated high school '07.
Okay, '07. Okay. Um, you got there the fall of 2007. I actually moved here to California in 2006, January 2006. That's when I got
Okay.
out here. Um, so
Okay.
in your freshman year there, you're a music major. What would you say was?
Hmm.
Oh, so let me ask you: were you a part of any ensembles there at Tennessee State?
Yeah. So when I got there, I was part of the choir, part of the concert choir, and the show choir.
Okay. Now the show choir, concert choir, show choir is that? I guess is that the equivalent to like the marching band, so to speak? Like what exactly does the show?
No,
Where do you guys
show
sing with the
choir
show
is
choir?
it's like theater. It's like theater. It's like if you go to Broadway, it's
Oh,
like,
okay.
on Broadway type stuff where you're dancing and singing. And so I think Dr. Pope, I think was her name. She was the director of the show choir. And so it's one of those pictures has a group. One of those pictures I sent you, there's a group of us together, and that was a show choir at the time. It was something that we were really good at it. Um, this is a picture of me right here. The first one was at the pool at Tennessee State University. Here's yeah, that's the pool right there. And I was just my freshman year. I had little thug from Memphis, Tennessee. Definitely grew up a lot since
Right,
then, but
right,
but it definitely
right,
brings back some memories.
right.
But yeah, yeah, show choir is just like what you see on Broadway in New York, and is a lot of dancing, it's a lot of singing, very difficult. Um, those some of my fraternity brothers right there from Alpha Phi Omega, um, and so but yeah, we had a great choir with Dr. Nettles for the chamber choir and the concert choir. I was the bass soloist my freshman year for the choir, and yeah, it was a wonderful time. I think I was like the only freshman one. It was one or two freshmen that actually made the choir the freshman year, and so yeah, I thought I was really proud of myself.
Okay, all right. So obviously you guys have various performances and whatnot. What was your most memorable performance or memorable experience there, in whatever I guess in whatever ensemble? Because usually when I ask the folks that were in the band, I'll say like, "What was your most memorable experience?" Like, what game was it? What was your memorable experience or performance in the choir?
Yeah, that's an easy one. We toured a lot, but the most significant performance was when we performed, the choir we performed at the Kennedy Center Awards in Washington D.C.,
Wow.
and we did a set to with Jennifer Hudson. So we got to practice with Jennifer Hudson. We performed with Jennifer Hudson as a choir, and we it was an award for Oprah Winfrey because Oprah Winfrey went to Tennessee. So that year, I think it was Oprah
Yeah.
Winfrey. It was Barack Obama was in the audience. There was somebody from the Beatles that got an award. Sidney Portier was there. Got to meet a lot of stars. Chris Rock was the host. I remember meeting John Travolta. I remember meeting a lot of stars there, and that was probably the most memorable performance that I had.
Okay. That's crazy, man. Yeah, I
And you
actually,
could
I guess that can't.
probably find that on YouTube if you go to YouTube and you type in the Kennedy Center Honors with Jennifer Hudson. You can find
Yeah, yeah, because usually that's like televised every year, um, and so I'm sure that like I had probably seen that or taken some time around that, but that's really cool that you were there, and it's another one of those things I'm always proud of is when like our HBCU ensembles get an experience like that, like Tennessee State, like
yeah.
um, you guys were there at the Kennedy Center Honors. What year was that?
It was I want to say maybe 2013, 2014, maybe.
Okay, okay, okay.
Hmm.
So and then maybe I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Tennessee State was in the Rose Bowl. The band,
Yeah.
just like Jackson State was in the Rose Bowl this year. So
Hmm.
that's always made me proud when because we've got some. I mean, HBCU's got some pretty dope music programs. You know what I'm saying? Some really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, we got some good
Hmm.
programs across the country. So when we get an opportunity like that, it's you feel happy for the school. Like you talk trash when we are by ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Uh, but now that you went to the Kennedy Center Honors, that's really impressive. And you got to have that experience seeing all those people. Now you're at Tennessee State as a music major. Did you know what you wanted to do when you graduated? Um, as far as like what was gonna
No,
go happen next?
I had no idea. I just was into music and I didn't realize how good I was in high school. I got a lot of confidence doing the all state honors choirs and just that experience to travel from Memphis to go to Nashville to perform with all of these people across the state of Tennessee. Like we're the best of the best. And that's all I knew. And I didn't think about college was to prepare you for the world in terms of getting a job. I just didn't think of it that way. I was just good at music. I wanted to continue into music, and so to be honest, that is why I joined the military after my freshman year. I pledged Phi Mu Alpha, which is a music fraternity, um, and after that, I was like, man, I don't know what I want to do. So I joined the military. My dad was in the military when he was at Tennessee State University. I think like in the 50s, he got drafted into the army and went overseas and did some tours, and he actually found out about the army course as a singer. He also was in the army band, played French horn, And so he did that for a little bit, came back to Tennessee State University and finished. And that's essentially, what I did. I didn't join the choir or the band. I did some cool things, got to jump out of planes and got deployed to Afghanistan and did some cool things. But then I came back and finished my degree. But when I came back, I decided I was like, well, I need to figure out what I want to do with life. And so I added another major and I added a minor. So I was a double major in music and English and a minor in Spanish.
Wow, wow. What made you minor in Spanish?
I was really good at it. And I think it was in middle school. I had a really good Spanish teacher, Profesora Govea de Arce. I remember her name. She was had a great impression on me. I remember like the first day of class, she would say, ask everybody what do they want to do when they grow up. And I was like, I want to be the president of the United States. So she will always call me Presidente. And so that
Oh,
really made me
nice.
feel really good. And so, kind of to honor that, growing up in Memphis is a rough place to grow up with a lot of gangs, a lot of drugs, and it just wasn't a good place. And so, she had a great impression on me and gained a lot of confidence. And so, it was something where I really want to continue to learn Spanish. And so, to this day, in California, we have to speak a lot of Spanish, and it has helped a lot. But when I came back from overseas from Afghanistan and to TSU, and I gained the English major and minor in Spanish because I was going to go to law school. I was going to go to Vanderbilt School of Law, and I heard that
Okay.
just my research that being in the creative and performing arts helps you to think kind of outside the box to help you with law school, help you being a lawyer. And then I hated to read. I never really read growing up. I just hated reading. And so I was like, I got to force myself to learn how to read, not to learn how to read,
Right.
but to love to read. And so I was like, I'm going to
Right.
force myself to do this. So I became an English major. And I tell you, you read a lot. And so, um, yeah, I never went to law school and I just, got into, some other professions, but I'm glad I did pick up the extra major. And maybe that's something, as music majors, people who love music and the band, if you want to do something with music, I would, highly advise people to learn a lot about the business side of music because, learning
Mm,
how to read contracts, learning how to negotiate contracts, understanding how the contracts work, understanding how the music industry work, whether it's in commercial music, whether you're on Broadway, whether you're a solo person that's going out and you're performing like, street performer, whatever the case might be, learn the fundamentals of business. And I think that is something that is needed in a lot more of the music programs, not just at HBCUs, but just music programs across the country.
yeah. What's funny because I had a couple of things to add when you said that. The first thing that came to my mind was nowadays I see so many people talking about streaming now and how
Hmm.
the artists are like pissed because it's like
Hmm.
how are we identifying like the stream, because back in the day, you bought someone's CD or you bought
Yep.
someone's tape or something and it was like their whole body of work. And so now I see
Hmm.
so many artists talking about trying to how they're going to try to figure out about what's going on with streaming and how like the artist is getting their just due through all these streaming channels. Because you remember back in the day, man, like you if you wanted someone's album, you know what I'm saying, you had to go buy it.
Yep.
I remember, Blockbuster, what, they had the movies and you can go rent movies and stuff. I remember they started with a Blockbuster music and you could actually go there and listen
Mm.
to somebody's album and decide if, you wanted to buy it. So I remember thinking that that was
Yep.
amazing because a lot of times if you bought someone's album, you didn't know, and if you didn't like it, like um, but nowadays, man,
Hmm.
you can go like on YouTube and download the song like you want, or like you know what I'm saying, and it don't cost nothing, you know. Um,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that's real interesting about the business side, like what you were alluded to.
Yeah. Like the business side is so important. I remember in CD store downtown. I think it was the Peabody Mall. I forgot the name of the mall, but it was this huge music store at the corner, had all kind of music. And that was the thing back then when I was growing up, is getting the CDs. Then iPods came out, being able to download the music from the Apple store. And that
Right.
was the business back then. But now, times has changed. Like the technology has changed. There's not, all these gatekeepers to radio stations and TV stations. You can get on YouTube, you can start your own stream, you can do your own thing and perform. Now it's how you package it in a way to get it to the target audience that would most appreciate, what you do as an artist.
Right, right. And that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
It
so,
is.
and I'm sure like there's a lot of good in that, but I mean it's just a lot as far as how that's going on. So let me go back because I wanted to also ask you, as we looked at a lot of your slideshow, you are part of a couple of organizations. So you get there fall '07. Did you know? Okay, well, let me ask you this: how did you get into Phi Mu Alpha?
Yeah, so a lot of people from the band were part of Phi Mu
Ah,
Alpha,
okay.
and so KK Psi is the band fraternity. So a lot of people in the band wanted to be part of KK Psi, but we didn't have it there. I don't know if they got kicked off the campus. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
probably.
Phi Mu Alpha was the fraternity was the fraternity that the music majors were a part of, and that was something that I wanted to be part of Omega Psi Phi in college, part of the Rosai, just like my dad. I remember seeing him in some of the yearbooks, and so I was like, well, let me try to figure out this pledging thing first with what Phi Mu Alpha, to see what it's about, and then I would try to go into Omega Psi Phi. But I never made it to Omega Psi Phi. It just the social fraternity just wasn't my thing.
Mhm.
I just after joining the military, I just had a different mindset. I saw the world. My mind was just different, was on different things. And so after Phi Mu Alpha, I you know, went off to the surface and came back, and I joined Alpha Phi Omega. Now, Alpha Phi Omega is a community service fraternity, and Omega Psi Phi, the Rosai chapter, actually founded Alpha Phi Omega um, at the TSU campus, and so
Wow.
Alpha Phi Omega and the Qs at TSU have a really tight bond. Same thing with um, what was the other? It was another sorority, Gamma Sigma Sigma, I think it was called. I forgot. It's been so many years. I forget them, but
Right.
it was a great community of young people coming together, doing community service in the community. And so yeah, this is a picture of me when I finished Omega Psi Phi. I was the ace. I was like the first male ace in that organization, and it was a co-ed fraternity with males and females. We had a line of 25 that year, and I'm still close with everybody to this day. And but yeah, so after that, after Omega Alpha Phi Omega, I joined a law fraternity, a Phi Alpha Delta.
Wow. Okay.
And so pledging all of those, learning all of the history, learning the background, it helped me so much in the military, because in the military, people think the military is a place for just dumb people, or you don't have to be
Right.
intelligent, you just have to be courageous and disciplined.
Right.
You got to have some sense about yourself. And
Right.
so there's a lot of schools where you have to memorize a lot, and so those who pledge different fraternities or sororities, there's a lot to remember, and there's a lot of pressure, especially going to HBCU, knowing how the culture is. Some of these schools, I had to memorize a lot of things in the military, and it really helped me out a lot. So but yeah.
Okay. So I have a cousin. Funny enough, I have a cousin. Um, my my uncle is the bros. He's accused, and his son,
Hmm.
my cousin, went to Jackson State. He got there in 1990. But YE
Okay.
Epsilon, the chapter there at Jackson State, they they weren't there. They were not at the time, or something happened,
Hmm.
and he then pledged later grad chapter. But funny enough, when he was at Jackson State, he pledged Alpha Phi Omega. I have a cousin. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
he did, and I
Yeah.
remember seeing that, and I was like, "Well, what is that?" And so he broke that down, told me all about what that was. Um, I don't remember
Yeah.
Phi Mu Alpha because I was at Jackson State from '97 to 2001. I don't remember Phi Mu
Hmm.
Alpha in the band. It might be there now, but ain't no telling. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a separate conversation about why these people get in trouble or why they ain't there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Fabio Alphas is I would say there are more vocalists and maybe pianists in
Oh,
Fabio
okay.
Alpha and maybe concert. But KK Psi is more for band. Like if you're a band,
Yes.
That was KK Psi, but you could be in Phi Mu Alpha and KK Psi because one is a band and one is a music. I believe. I believe you could do both. I remember there was a professor. He was actually in both, and so I think if they had KK Psi at TSU, I think a lot of people would have probably done KK Psi and not done Phi Mu Alpha. But maybe a lot of people in the choir would have mostly done Phi Mu Alpha because there's a lot of songs that you have to memorize. There's a lot of music that you have to learn
Right.
and sing in Phi Mu Alpha.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
One of the hosts of the show that I do when we talk about bands and stuff, owner of Block Band Music and Publishing, Rashard Waters, he's Phi Mu Alpha, I believe. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, once got out and I started doing this show and I started meeting people from other HBCUs, that's when I started finding out more about Phi Mu Alpha. But yeah, I see that they're
Hmm.
everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So you played when did
Yep. And and other places too. So like Phi Mu
Yes.
Alpha and Alpha Phi Omega, I've seen people in Europe at Cambridge and other universities overseas that are part of Alpha Phi Omega and Phi Mu Alpha. So that was a pleasure as well.
Yeah. So you got to Tennessee State in 2007. When did you pledge uh Phi Mu Alpha?
I pledged, I think it was spring '08. It was spring '08. It was right before I went to basic training.
Okay. And then that kind of you already kind of answered it because I was going to ask you. You also got the military pictures. What made you get into the military? You answered that talking about your dad
Hmm.
and everything. So you were there at Tennessee State,
Hmm.
and then you decided to then get into the military. What year did you join the military?
I joined December 2008.
Okay. No, so you were busy in 2008 then.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you, yeah,
Oh yeah, I was really
yeah.
busy. And I don't know how, like I think one of your guests she talked about being a music major and all of the coursework. See, most people when you're whatever major you are, your freshman year, you got 12 to 15 credit
Yep.
hours. You may have like 4 or 5 classes, but as a music major, you had classes like seminar was a class that you had to go to that gave you 0 credit. And my freshman year, my first semester, I had 22 credit hours,
Wow.
and I had 11 classes with 22 credit
Wow.
hours. And so that's all I knew. I didn't know what was crazy is I didn't know that wasn't normal. And so I got used to it. So all throughout my college years, I was taking, 9, 10, 11 classes, anywhere from I never took less than 18 credit hours. I was either 18 to 23 credit hours in school while I was
Wow.
in
That's
school.
amazing, man. And I think that kind of goes to the your parents did a good job as far as that discipline. I being in the band because you remember, and also too, um, in the '90s. This is before the whole incident happened at Florida A&M, and I think that they've cracked down on a lot of that nowadays. But this is back in the time in the '90s, man, where we went to practice at 6 and it was 6 until like it wasn't no like we going
Yeah.
to we get out at 8:30 like nah. We don't know when we getting out tonight, you know, and it was like that every night.
Yeah,
So with that load
yeah. I
of that
can. Yeah.
time, uh, I think I only took 15 hours every semester because
Hmm.
you know I couldn't imagine doing 18 or 21 hours, and then of course I had to go to summer school too. You know what I'm saying, to get out on time.
Hmm.
But that's commendable, man, that you were doing
Hmm.
that much, and it's funny you say that that's all you knew. But to be that young, and then because you had to have
Yeah.
discipline and that time management skills for you to do that.
Yeah, the military definitely helped. I think, when I first got there, I didn't have that. I would say after I came back after alpha active duty, um, I was really disciplined when I came back. So it was a lot easier. I was probably a BC student before I left, but when I came back, I made, straight A's and an occasional B here and there. But to follow up what you were saying about, six until um, I remember at TSU that the band, a lot of the people in the band aren't music majors,
Yep.
and I will remember, sometimes like I'll be just out and about, can't sleep, to be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You might go walk around campus, and the band will still be up. They'd be out on the practice field 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, still at it. So yeah, it still happens. Yeah, and that's why they go at what they do is like, a lot of people in the Tennessee State band, the people I remember when I was in college for all of those years, they're doing really good in their careers, whether it's in
Mhm.
music or whatever. It's engineers, it's just people in all kind of career. They're doing great because of the band does put a lot of structure. You learn that you have to practice. You just can't show up. And so a lot of people are doing well in their careers that were in the band at TSU.
Yeah, man. And the memorization part was what tripped me out. So, like
Hmm.
you said, like you get a part of these. You start pledging. You're gonna have your poem. You're gonna have your information that you need to memorize. Um, but then at a HBCU, and I'm sure that there at some predominantly white institutions, a lot of them, you memorize. You ain't walking out on the field with no music. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
and I remember, I think the one year, I think maybe we had the most, it was either between 75 or 80 songs, and we had those memorized. And
Oof,
so
my lord.
that's a lot. So when you talk about that translation over into the real world, it definitely made a difference as far as that discipline. But memorizing all of those notes was like super crucial for that weekend. But then, you
Mhm.
know, you 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 memorize the song, but you didn't keep going back over it when that was in the book. When you call it off, you need to be ready to go to play that song. You know what I'm saying? Um, so
Mhm.
that definitely translated to a career later on. So it's really interesting you say that. That the folks in the band, and you doing well because a lot of those seeds were planted there when you were marching. You know what I mean? Um,
Yep.
okay,
Mhm.
so you were in the military. When did you? So I guess you did your basic training, and then you came back to Tennessee State. What year did you come back to Tennessee State?
Y I came back, I took a year off, and so I joined the Army Reserve, and I took a year off, and so I think I probably came back in '09,
Okay.
the spring of '09, I believe. Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I think it was probably spring '09, and, yeah, and I went back at it, and again, still all those courses. I was working, been in the reserve, and I had a civilian job. I had 2 civilian jobs, so I was I slept, every other day, and I slept on weekends. Yeah. Yeah, I worked 3rd shift at the Nissan factory in Smyrna, Tennessee, and
Wow.
then I would get off, and then I was a personal trainer, so I would go to the gym. I had clients at the gym. out in the Gold's Gym out there in Smyrna, and then I would go to class after doing a whole shift at nighttime. I would go to class, and then I would come home later, take a maybe a quick nap or do some homework, and then go right back to work that night. And then I would sleep on the Tuesday
Wow.
and
Wow.
hmm
Wow. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. But it's funny, and I'm glad that people are hearing your story. The work that you put in and you go through it at the time, how it benefits you later. But the benefits that you enjoy later, you don't have that without that period where you grinding, or where you saying you only sleeping a couple of days and all that stuff like that. I hope that's important, that the younger folks understand that, that you put in that time and you working hard, and then like later on it gets better. What I'm saying? But you got to put in the work. You got to put in your time. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Sometimes it's just good to see what you got. And it was one of those
Right.
gut check type things. I've been overseas, and I was like, well, I need this class. That's another thing about being a music major, is that sometimes, because it's not, some of the classes are only offered in the spring and some classes are only offered in the fall. So if you
Right.
miss it this year, you got to wait a whole nother year to take it. And so I was like, I'm taking this class. And it was one of those gut check things. And sometimes as young people, when you're young, we got all the energy in the world, and that's what you have. We don't have a lot of money, and so you gotta
Right.
use the energy that you have and the time that you have to make it useful. And yeah, and so I did it. I did that for about a year.
That's cool. That's cool, man. That's really cool. Okay. So
hmm
now, when did you finish Tennessee State?
I eventually finished in, want to say it was like the spring of 2014.
Okay. Okay. And you finished with
hmm
music, English, and then a minor as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And you know, when I was as a music major, I finished all of the coursework before I finished all of the English, and so I would add classes in there for composition. So you could almost say I was a composition minor, where I write a lot of music, because I probably had probably I graduated with over 200 credit hours total.
Wow.
When I was at Tennessee State University, and so to make up to stay into the music, I would pick up bassoon. So I learned how to play bassoon. I took bassoon lessons um, with I forgot her name. Um, Dr. Gunter was my bassoon teacher, and I played bassoon for like 2 years in the concert band. And then I picked up film scoring with Dr. I think it was named Holgram, and I did a composition with Dr. Olga Harris. And so I wrote a lot of music, and but yeah, so you could almost say that I was a composition minor.
Wow. That's it. That's pretty cool, man. That's really cool. Okay. So now, you have your degrees and you out in the real world now.
hmm
What are you doing
hmm
now? Like, how did you start out, like your career moving forward? And then because I also see now that you are, on the tag, you're the owner and CEO of a business intelligence group. So I do want to get to that.
Yes,
So
sir.
how did you get from
Yeah.
uh, Tennessee State, like you finished, and then to like where you are now?
Yeah, so when I was in college, again, I was, juggling my military career, being in the Army Reserve, as well as I was working at the Nissan factory and auto manufacturing. And so when I started working at the Nissan factory, I just fell in love with operations, just seeing how things were made, how all of these pieces came together to make a car. And so I really wanted to be in into management and to auto manufacturing. And so that's where I started my career while I was in college, working at the Nissan factory. I was working on the line. And just because I was there, I was, very disciplined at being there. I was always volunteering to come in early, stay late to learn more. I got more opportunities to learn more of the various processes. And I literally started. as a temp worker to being hired on to becoming a line lead to becoming a production supervisor all in a year. So I went from making like minimum wage all the way to making maybe I was making like $70,000 at that time,
Nice.
as a production supervisor at the Nissan factory, all in a year. And so from there, I went to become a quality engineer. Don't have an engineering background, don't have an engineering degree, but
Mhm.
because of my knowledge that I learned at the Nissan factory, I became a quality engineer with this auto manufacturing supplier.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. And that's
Hmm.
in Tennessee. You still in Tennessee now at
Yep, in
this time.
Tennessee.
Okay. All right. So now you're
Yep.
doing this. How long did you do that?
From like 2014 all the way up until I've been in management. I moved out here 2018. I moved to California in 2018. So I was out there for 4 years in auto manufacturing.
Okay. Okay. So what made you move to California?
Yeah, man. So the Lord just works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
Um, things just happen. Life just happens to you. But I truly believe that it was a calling from the Lord for me to come out here because I met some wonderful people, and go to church out here. But I ended up getting a job in the Bay Area. I lived in the East Bay, in a city right next to Oakland, a city called San Leandro, California, and I worked for this aerospace company. And so they recruited me from Tennessee. They wanted somebody who had worked in auto manufacturing. They were getting a lot of contracts. You had to have a certain clearance. I had a clearance in the military, a secret clearance in the military. And so it's one of these contractors who built, parts for the military and for defense. And so they recruited me. They paid me to come to move out to Northern California in the Bay Area. So I moved out and I was a supervisor, um, quality control supervisor for this aerospace company in the Bay Area. So that's what got me out here in 2018.
Wow. Okay. All right. And I like it up there, man. I like Northern
Yeah.
California. You know what I'm saying? I'm not real big on the sun per se. So I like
Hmm.
how Northern California, Oregon, Washington, like I like the weather up there a little bit more. Um,
Yeah.
so, so how long were you there in the Bay Area then?
I was up there for maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years. I got, it's expensive. So living in Tennessee, you know, and coming out here, it's a culture shock. It is a total
Right.
culture shock. It's very expensive up there. Things are just expensive for no reason. And but while I was there, I got an opportunity. My wife, so I met my wife where we were, and we got married in 2011 before I got deployed, and she went to Tennessee State University as well. She was in the health sciences. She became an occupational therapist from Tennessee State University, and but she lived out here in Southern California, and she just went to TSU because she wanted the HBCU. We met while we were in college, and so we ended up moving back to her neck of the woods in Southern California in the IE. So she grew up in East Highland, and so moving down
Wow.
here, I got a job at I was recruited by Amazon, and so, up until this time, I had been into supply. I've been into auto manufacturing and aerospace manufacturing, and now here is, Amazon wanted somebody with the military experience, just experience in general in management and leadership, and so they recruited me on, and I started working at Amazon in supply chain and logistics.
Wow. And so is that Amazon is because I know I see some couple plants around here. Is that in the Amazon is in
It's
San
a bunch.
Bernardino?
It's a bunch. I was in Moreno Valley, so it's Aunt Eight. So they named the Amazon distribution centers after the city that's close to it. So you have the Amazons that's in LA. They call them LAX with the number, and the ones out here in
Okay.
the IE is either Aunt, what is short for Ontario. I worked at Aunt Eight. Aunt Six is right across the street, and then in San Bernardino, I think they are SB, SRB, or SBR, something like that. So yeah, so you have one in East Val. So there's a bunch of them all over the Inland Empire down here.
Wow, wow. Okay, all right. And then your old lady from Highland. That's crazy, man. Like just to hear,
Yeah,
because now I understand where Highland is now. Like you know what I'm saying. Before I moved out
yeah,
here, I didn't. But to hear someone from Highland went to Tennessee State, like that mentally for me, because we'll see what my kids want to do. But like
hmm
I remember being in school and hearing like if someone was from California, and I was like, damn, like you from California, like that's far, you know. So I can't even imagine, you know, you
yeah,
going that far.
yeah,
But obviously it happens. But that's really cool. She's from Highland and she went to Tennessee State. Like that's to me, that's still amazing.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, her mom. So my mother-in-law, she went to. I think she went to Delaware State, which is a HBCU, and she
What?
plays Delta.
What?
Yeah, so there she her mom is from Delaware and the Philly area, and when her parents got married, they moved. He was in the Air Force, and they got stationed out here in San Bernardino.
Oh,
So that's how they got out here from off the East Coast. And so my wife, she actually visited. She was actually going to go to Delaware State, and then she was like, "Oh, let me go tour some other universities, some other HBCUs." So she was set to go to Fisk University, and then she
okay.
toured TSU and ended up going to Tennessee State University.
That's dope, man. That's
hmm
super dope, man. Just to hear that. Um, cause yeah, like I'm like in I mean, as you know, you in Tennessee, so that's still somewhat central as far as the country is concerned. So and then it's down south, so it's like, you know, you hearing about
Yeah,
HBCUs and stuff, but people outside of that region um, going to school there, that's cool.
they don't
But
know.
then you find out that like maybe their grandparents or that their parents are from that area. Like you know what I'm saying? Or like
Yep.
your kids, you know what I'm
hmm
saying? Like so your kids were they all born out here in California?
My no, so my youngest two, um, my 4-year-old and 2-year-old, they were born out here in California. My son, Kyrie, he was born out in Murfreesboro, Tennessee,
Okay.
and then my daughter, she was actually born in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. Okay. So when they get
hmm
older, you know what I'm saying? They'll have that story like, you know, my
hmm
parents went to Tennessee State, my grandma went to Dale State. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's really cool
Yeah.
to hear, you know, hear that story or hear that progression. You know what I'm saying? That's super dope.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool. At my son, he just started middle school, but in his elementary school, they have like in their cafeteria and like their multi-purpose room, they have these flags and banners of different universities, and they actually have some HBCUs up. They got Howard, I think they had Spelman, Morehouse, and some other PWIs. But it was cool to see that it was there. Yeah.
Wow. What middle school did you go to?
So he goes to Beatty Middle School now.
Oh yeah, out there over there in Highland.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my mother-in-law, she lives in Highland. So even though we live in Redlands, my mother-in-law is lives in East Highland. That's another thing. When you say Highland, people from East Highland, you got to put that East in front of it because East Highland is different from that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, my wife, she always corrects me. She said, "No, it's East Highland." So, but yeah, it's a nice little area over there. Wonderful school. Is still part of the Redland Unified School
Yes.
District. Great teachers, wonderful education, and but yeah, so he went to Highland Grove Elementary School, and then in that same parking lot, the same area is Beatty Middle School right next
Right,
door.
right. So what's funny is um, I got to see the entire district. And as you know, when the virus hit, everybody was at home.
hmm
But you remember how they did the lunches where they still had everybody's lunches. You could come pick up lunch. Um, and then you could
Yep.
go to the individual schools, and it was like every school in the district had one. So I know as part of, like, with me and my kids, because my wife still had to go to work, they didn't care about the virus, so I was here with my kids every day. um, I went around, we went to like a different school each time to check it out to see what it was like.
Hmm.
And I remember a couple times we went to
Yeah.
Beatty, or we would go over there to Highland to get our lunch. And you remember they had everything in a box and they would put it
Hmm.
in your trunk. You know what I'm saying?
Box. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we did
Hmm.
that. But then when the virus was over and my kids got back into sports, the Redlands Baseball League, they used the schools for the practice grounds. So I we went to
Mm.
one of the elementary schools over in Highland, or in East Highland, like you say. And I noticed that they had the flags of colleges around the elementary
Yeah.
school. So
Hmm.
that's pretty dope to hear that they got some HBCUs over. Because I mean, you know how it is out here, man. Like like you say, it's a culture shock. It's just totally different. So to hear that's pretty
Something
cool,
different.
man.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So let me ask you now. So now you're here in Southern California. How did you start to be the founder and CEO of the Business Intelligence Group?
Yeah. So I started that in 2022, and it's a business. And how that got started is, I've been a lot of different organizations and leadership. After I left Amazon, I went to a company called McLean Global. It's like food logistics. Then I went to another company in biotechnology for agriculture, and then I went to you know uh, this company in out in LA for supply chain and logistics. And I was saving these companies millions of dollars through great leadership, through project management, through kaizens, through Six Sigma projects. I was, training people up who didn't have a lot of experience to hold really good jobs and know what they were doing. I went to University of Redlands for their master's program for the MBA, and I just fell in love with business, just coming into a world of how operations worked. Had been an engineer, been in many different industries. I was like, why am I doing this for all these people? They don't really appreciate me. So why won't I just go in business for myself and try to make millions of dollars for myself? And so that's what I did in
Right.
2022. I started my own coaching firm. And what I do is I help business leaders, entrepreneurs, and hustlers build and package their products and services, whatever they hustle is, be able to package it in a way that they can serve their customers that really appreciate what they do. So far it's been really good. I've in terms of putting on conferences and seminars for leadership, whether it's process and operations, whether it's been business plans or business strategies. This is something that I've done for the last couple of years, and it's been amazing. And I'm actually working now on a couple businesses where I'm helping them with operations, helping build out their value streams, ensuring that they can hire the right people at the right time that would be value at the business in the season that they are in now as they do business. So that's how I got started. And starting off as a music major and music lover, I still love it to this day. But it's prepared me to this day as a business coach and advisor to always work on your craft, always get better. Something that you got to practice, something that you got to constantly put work in. And no matter what you do, you'll be good at it if you put the work into it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. And I ain't gonna lie, man. I really do believe that theory,
Hmm.
and you had it at a young age, but that theory, I
Hmm.
definitely believe that theory has helped you out. Just like you were talking about the band members doing well, because it's definitely like you've had a pretty good career, a lot of experiences. You got to live in different places, but being a leader overall is what's most impressive. So I definitely think, man, I'm sure that theory at that young age, I'm sure it helped your mind as far as at least, you know, basic deductive reasoning. You know what I'm saying? With all that you're
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
So that's really, really impressive, man. What would you
Hmm.
say has been your most memorable experience so far with your business?
I would say just coming in contact with so many different people who have something to offer, but just don't know business. They don't know how to package it in a way in an offering that people would buy it. And so I think the number one thing is being able to meet people. As I go out about, through Redlands and throughout the community, I'm always shaking hands, leaving my cards in different places. And I've met people. I help people. This young lady with a boba shop where she's really good at making boba. She's Mexican, but usually the boba shops out here are people who are, I think, Korean or from
Right.
Taiwan, but she's Mexican and she's like, I make really good boba tea. And so just helping her with her business, I've helped people. There's this guy out here in Redlands who does churros, really trying to help him with his business. Taxes. I do photography work and marketing work. So I do a lot of things across the board, and a lot of it is just be going to business school. I'm in another master's program now at California Baptist University for business analytics, and I'm just going to these schools using my military benefits to get the education, get it so I can help others, start their businesses because in California things are they're expensive for no reason,
Yes.
and so there's so the barrier to entry to start a business is so low. I think everybody should start a business. Everybody should start a hustle, but there's an intelligent way to do it, and this is why I'm here to help people do it. And my hope is that 10 years down the line, 15 years, people continue to remember me and to refer me to people who are looking to get to the next level and whatever they're trying to do in their business.
That's dope, man. We definitely gonna have to talk, man. I just started my LLC last month with the Marching Podcast, and I have a couple ideas of how,
Okay.
like where I want to go with it. But you talked about boba. I know my daughter loves boba, and
Hmm.
supporting that lady because that's one thing that I'm trying to teach my kids is be conscious of where you spending your money and try to make sure that you are spending your money with
Hmm.
people that you believe in and people that you support. You know what I mean? Because it comes back to you
Yeah.
definitely, but I'm trying to teach them to learn know where
Hmm.
your money's going. You know what I mean? So we'll definitely we
Yeah.
definitely gonna
Absolutely.
have to talk, man.
Absolutely.
Um, and also too,
Yeah.
if there's something where you want to like start to pub your business on the show, like for example here, this is one of my frat brothers. He's in math tutoring. He actually tutors my daughter for math. And so
Okay.
yeah, and so
Okay.
he's one of the sponsors to the network, and so kind of another part of what the Marketing Podcast does. We're trying to get the word out there for other businesses that we believe in and stuff. Um, so you see these
Yeah.
commercials here,
Absolutely.
and then in this screen here at the bottom, the ticker down here at the bottom, those are a lot of the people, their information that's going down there at the ticker. You see that. So I definitely love to add you, man, to
Yeah.
kind of get the business out there, get it out there. You know what I mean, to help you out because it sounds interesting. Like you said, at least once you got an
Absolutely.
idea of what you want to do, packaging it and at least trying to help people decide on the direction that they want to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, being in Amazon, being in an organization like Amazon, seeing how they operate, seeing what they do behind the scenes, being in so many different operations, seeing their income statements, their P&Ls, and seeing how they do business, I was like, oh, this is easy. Let me just take it back to my community, take it back to my family, my friends. Let me show them what these billion-dollar companies are doing. And so there's a language to it. There's a wisdom to go about it. You might be good at a million different things, but you can't be all things to all
Right.
people. especially in 21st century business. So it's about trying to figure out and really come down to something and being very clear of what your offering is, and then finding ways to market to the people that appreciate that product or service, and then selling that, packaging it into an offer, and then selling it to them, and then being consistent at delivering that quality each and every time.
That's outstanding, man. That's outstanding, man. That's really, really good. Glad that we got to meet, but definitely glad you getting the information out there about your business. But overall, man, I think that's we getting towards the end. And let me get over here in music. And I want to give you a round of applause here. So Tennessee State, and again, born on the east side. That's a trip. I'm still tripping off that, man. Uh, and out here, and we neighbors. You know what I'm saying? I'm like right next to
Hmm.
Redlands High School, so you know where that is, and
Redlands
right
East
next to the
Valley
high
or
school,
Redlands High
and then
School?
there's Redlands High School. So I'm right here
Okay,
next to
okay,
Redlands High School, and then there's an Albertsons, like kind of catty corner
okay.
from there, the Albertsons. So like I stay like on the other side of
I know.
Redlands Boulevard from that Albertsons. That's where I stay.
I, I know exactly. We're
So
over there by the bike store,
yes, in fact,
the bike shop.
right next to
Hmm.
the bike store is the gym where I work out. Super
Oh,
dope
okay. Yeah,
gym over there.
yeah. The CrossFit over there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's dope. It's dope because I mean
Okay.
it's a little pricey, but it don't be nobody up in there. So I go on my lunch break, and it's usually me and
Hmm.
maybe one other person, but it's like I got the whole gym to myself. You know what I'm saying? But I live right on the
Yeah.
other side
Yeah.
of Redlands Boulevard from that. So yeah, man,
Okay.
we definitely have to get up
Yeah. You
sometime
you
or
you're
something.
only absolutely, yeah. It's like 8 minutes away. You're not far from me at all. At
Yeah,
all.
yeah. We cross over Brockton every day because my son goes to Clement, my daughter goes to Citrus Valley, so I take them to school every day. So we cross over by your neck of the woods every day when I'm taking them to school and when I'm picking them up. So we getting. I know we got the lag, but we getting towards the end of the interview, man. And like I said, I really appreciate um, you taking the time to be on the show today. And we got your information, so we'll definitely be getting up. Is there anything as far as any advice or any information that you want to put out there that you want our listeners to know, or anything to the young people, anybody going to the HBCU, anybody going into military? Is your background is pretty vast. So anything
Yeah.
that you would like to say to end the interview?
Yeah. I think no matter what you do, you put the Lord first. Everything else will fall into place. Do something that you're proud of. Do something. Don't just follow everybody. I think there's a scripture that says, "Don't follow a multitude to do evil." Look up inside yourself to see what you want to do, what puts a smile on in your face, what brings you joy, and seek to do that and be really good at it. Make it up in your mind that whatever I do in life, I'm gonna give it 100%. And if you do that, you're a turn up on top.
That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. But like I said, man, I appreciate your time here, and I'm really glad that glad I met you, and glad that you were able to be on the show. So definitely, man, we're gonna be touching base moving forward. But yeah, man, it's a trip, man. It's like I said, I've been out here all of this time, and then end up meeting somebody. Hey, like I said, I thought I was the only person here in Redlands that went to a HBCU. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have to introduce you. There's a guy at the YMCA. His son plays basketball in the same basketball league. He went to Howard. I think he pledged Kappa Alpha Psi. So yeah, he has a law
What?
practice out here. So I have to introduce you. Yeah.
What? And he
Yep.
stay in Redlands?
Yep. Yep.
What?
hmm
Yeah, man. Definitely let me know so I can have him on the show. But wow, man, that's amazing. That's still amazing to me. I think I told you I met a guy at the gym, went to Alabama A&M, and I think a couple months ago I saw a girl at the Trader Joe's, and she went to Howard, and her whole car was
Wow.
Howard down. She had the decal in the back window. She had it on. She had it on the license
I
plate.
think I've
I,
seen that car. I've seen that car.
yeah. So I'm just like, what's going on, man? Like, hey, man, it can't be too many of us out here now. It gets scared for us out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's all right, man. So that I'm excited, and definitely trying to make the connection because it sounds like we got some pretty resourceful folks around here. You know what I mean? Definitely trying to help each other
Absolutely.
out, but
Yeah.
we definitely have to make the connections, man. Um, so again, chop it up with
Yes, sir.
one and only Chris
Yeah.
Coleman.
I'll send you
Thanks
this
again for
contact. His
your
name is
time.
Channy.
Okay, yeah, please
hmm
do, because that's I'm like, wow, that's another one. Like, man, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
man, so many years I did not see nothing. You know what I mean? Like nobody. Um,
hmm
so that's pretty cool that we might have like a little group forming here, like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So again, we want to thank Chris for his time. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or a patron to the Marketing Podcast, contact the show and we'll give you the criteria to start to pub your business using our platform. You guys see the ticker down below, and we also have, uh, we also will put up your ad. Anything to do to help promote your business, so we can keep the dollars in our own community, if you will, and continue to help build upon ourselves to get us in a better place. So contact us so we can help build your business. That's all the time we have for this podcast. You can donate what's in your heart. You can go to themartianpodcast.com, like us on Facebook and subscribe to us. All of that stuff. We everywhere. If you Google us, we everywhere. And we have our LinkedIn tree. If I add that here, yeah, we got the LinkedIn. So if you got the link tree, you can see the Marching Podcast, and we have all of our links there at one place for you guys to support everything that we're doing, and help contact us. A lot of our proceeds go to support National Signing Day for marching bands. That's when the high school seniors tell on our show where they're going to march in the fall, and we're trying to build up as much support for them as we can. And also now, just as the last couple of interviews we had, we've now got some graduates, some people who were on the show, and they said, just like Andrea Dixon, she went to Tennessee State. She was just the person we just talked to, and now she's graduating, going on to graduate school. So we definitely here building the youth in our community and helping them get out into the world, so they can be, well-rounded, productive citizens, and highlighting, showing to the world the beloved HBCU products and what we're doing for ourselves. So again, that's all the time we have for our show. Check out the website, donate what's in your heart. Thanks to you for listening, and remember, the eye is a better pupil and more willing than the ear. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. See you next time.